Good morning, and welcome to City Talks, the show where we discuss the important issues facing our community. Today we are asking a big question. Should all public transportation in our city be completely free of charge for everyone? It's a topic that affects us all, from our daily costs to the air we breathe and the traffic on our streets. To help us explore this idea, we have two expert guests with us today. On one side, we have Leo, a city planner who believes free public transport is the way forward for a modern, fair city. And on the other side, we have Maria, a transport analyst, who has some serious concerns about the financial and practical challenges of such a plan. Welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us for what I'm sure will be a very interesting conversation.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here to talk about this exciting idea. I believe that making public transportation free is one of the best things we can do for our city and for the people who live here. My first and most important point is about fairness. Right now, the cost of a bus or train ticket can be a real problem for many people. Think about families with low incomes or students or the elderly. For them, saving a few euros every day on transport makes a huge difference. That money doesn't just disappear. It can be spent on better food, on children's education, or on paying the rent without stress. Free transport means that everyone has the same opportunity to travel. It means a person can accept a job on the other side of the city without worrying about the cost of getting there. It means our city becomes more connected and accessible for every single resident, not just those who can afford it. My second point is about our environment. Our streets are full of cars, and this is causing serious problems. We all know about the traffic jams during the morning rush hour. We all breathe the polluted air. This has a negative effect on our health and our quality of life. If public transport is free, many people will choose to leave their cars at home. It's a simple choice. Why pay for petrol and parking when you can take a bus or train for free? Fewer cars on the road means less traffic congestion. It means our air becomes cleaner, our city becomes quieter, and a more pleasant place to live. This isn't just a dream. It's a practical step we can take to fight climate change at a local level. Finally, let's talk about our local economy. When people save money on transport, they have more money to spend in our community. They might buy a coffee from a local cafe, visit a local shop, or go to a restaurant with their family. This extra spending supports our small businesses and helps our local economy to grow. It keeps money circulating right here in our city. So when we look at the big picture, free public transport is not a cost. It is an investment in a fairer, healthier, and more successful city for all of us.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Leo, for sharing your vision. While your idea sounds wonderful, I believe we must be realistic. My job is to look at the numbers and the practical details, and I see some major problems. My first concern is the most obvious one: the cost. Public transportation is not free to operate. It is actually very expensive. The money from ticket sales, the fares that people pay, is essential. It pays for the salaries of thousands of drivers, mechanics, and cleaning staff. It pays for the fuel to run the buses and the electricity for the trains. It pays for maintaining the vehicles so they are safe and reliable. If we remove all of that income from ticket sales, we have a huge financial hole to fill. The big question is, where does that money come from? The most likely answer is from taxes. The city would have to increase taxes for residents and businesses to cover the cost. Is that fair for everyone? My second point is about the quality of the service. If we don't have enough money, the quality of our public transport system will go down. This is almost certain. We might have to reduce the number of buses on certain routes. The waiting times could become much longer. Services in the evenings or on weekends might be cut completely. The vehicles could become older, dirtier, and less comfortable because there isn't enough money for regular maintenance and cleaning. So the service becomes free, but it also becomes a much worse service. A system that is not reliable is not useful for people who need to get to work or appointments on time. My final point is about overcrowding and inefficiency. If something is free, people tend to use it more. sometimes for unnecessary trips. Imagine buses and trains that are completely full during rush hour and even during off-peak times. It would be very uncomfortable for passengers. This overcrowding would also lead to delays. It takes longer for people to get on and off a full bus. This makes the whole system slower and less efficient. For many people, a reliable and comfortable journey is more important than a free one. A free, but overcrowded and slow system might actually push people back into their cars. So, while the idea of a free system is attractive, I believe it would create serious financial and practical problems that would ultimately harm the service and the city.
Thank you, Maria, for laying out those challenges so clearly. Leo, Maria raises a very important point about money. She says a free system would require higher taxes. How would the city pay for a free transport system without creating a heavy burden for taxpayers?
That's a fair question, and it's one we have thought about carefully. It's not as simple as just raising everyone's taxes. First, we need to think about who benefits the most from a more active city center. When more people can travel freely, businesses in the city center see more customers. So one option is a small, dedicated tax on large businesses in the central commercial district. They would be contributing to the system that brings them more business. It's a fair exchange. Another source of funding comes from savings in other areas. With fewer cars on the road, there is less damage to our streets. This means we would save millions of euros every year on road repairs and maintenance. That money could be moved to support the public transport budget. We also save money on healthcare costs associated with air pollution. It's about looking at the city's budget as a whole system.
That's an interesting perspective. Maria, what do you think of that, using business taxes and money saved from road maintenance?
Leo's suggestions sound good, but the numbers often don't add up. A small tax on businesses would likely not be enough to cover the entire operational cost of the transport network. And while we might save some money on road repairs over many years, those savings are not immediate. We need the money to pay salaries and fuel bills next month, not in 10 years. This brings me back to my point about service quality. Leo's argument about the environment is powerful, and I agree that a cleaner city is a goal we all share.
So Maria, isn't a cleaner, less congested city worth the financial challenge?
It is, but I believe we're looking at the wrong solution. Studies have shown that for many car drivers, the main reason they don't use public transport is not the cost. It's the convenience and reliability. A bus that comes only once every 30 minutes and might be late is not an attractive option, even if it's free. People need to know they can get to their destination on time. I argue that it would be a much better environmental strategy to invest the money we have into improving the service. Let's have more buses, more routes, and modern clean vehicles that are always on time. A high-quality, reliable service will convince more people to leave their cars at home than a free but poor-quality one.
That's a strong counter-argument. Let's talk about fairness from another angle. I'd like to ask you both this question. What about people who don't use public transport? For example, people who cycle to work, or people who live in rural parts of our region where there is no bus service. Is it fair to ask them to pay for it through their taxes?
I believe it is fair, because everyone in the city and the surrounding region benefits, even if they never step on a bus. The cyclist you mentioned benefits from safer roads with fewer cars. The person living in a rural area benefits from cleaner air that travels from the city. Everyone benefits when the city's hospitals and emergency services can operate more efficiently because of less traffic. It's a public good, just like a park or a library. We all pay for them, and we all benefit from their existence.
I have to disagree on that point. A park is available for anyone to enter and enjoy directly. A free bus service, funded by taxes, forces someone in a village with no buses to pay for a service they can never use. That doesn't seem fair to me. I believe a system where the users contribute to the cost of the service they receive is fundamentally a fairer model. We can still support those with low incomes through targeted programs, like discounted tickets or travel cards. That way, we help the people who need it most, without placing an unfair burden on everyone else.
We are running short on time, so I'd like to ask you both for a brief closing statement. Let's start with you, Leo.
Thank you. I believe the evidence is clear. Free public transportation is a bold step towards a better future for our city. It creates a fairer society where everyone has access to opportunities. It builds a healthier community with cleaner air and less stress. And it fosters a stronger local economy. This is not about spending money without a plan. It is a smart, modern investment in the future of our city and our children.
Thank you, Leo. And now, your final thoughts, Maria.
My position is not against public transport. It is for a system that works reliably and is financially responsible. Making it free carries enormous risks. It threatens the quality of the service, could lead to severe overcrowding, and places an unfair financial burden on all taxpayers for a service that only some use. The most practical and effective way forward is to focus on improving the system we have. Make it faster, cleaner, and more reliable. That is how we build a transport network that truly serves our city well.
And that's all the time we have. My sincere thanks to both Leo and Maria for sharing their expert opinions, and for such a thoughtful and respectful debate. We've heard two very different visions for the future of our city's transport. One based on the dream of a free, accessible city for all, and another based on the practical reality of its cost and quality. Now it's over to you, our listeners, to think about what you value most for our community. Thank you for tuning in to City Talks.